All right, today we are talking Escape Room Tournament of Champions. If you haven't seen my video on the original Escape Room, you might want to check that out. The short version is, I was a big fan of it. I didn't think it was amazing or groundbreaking, but I liked it. I liked that I didn't know most of the actors, and it wasn't an established IP, so there's a lot of tension because you don't know who's going to die and who's going to survive. And with some spiral, disappointing Saw sequels coming out from a franchise that I really liked, Escape Room kind of seemed like maybe the new Saw franchise. Pardon the sounds of my dog drinking water in the background. So I was a big fan of the original Escape Room, saw it in theaters, rewatched it leading up to Tournament of Champions, but I didn't want to set my expectations too high because I didn't want to be disappointed by the second one. So the second one, I would say, probably a good thing that I kept my expectations in check. I saw a quote from a critic, and I don't remember who it was, but the idea was it doesn't really do a whole lot more. It does a lot more of the same. And again, we've got a dog making noise off screen here. So if you, if you like the concept of the first movie and them going room through room and solving the clues and blah, 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 this one is more of the same. And I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's bad. But I do understand how some people might wish that it had done something more, especially if people have thought about it a lot, right? And if they have really interesting ideas about how you could take that to the next level. I didn't put that much thought into it, so I thought this was fine and entertaining. I think I would enjoy it more on a second watch because, mysteries in movies are strange because depending on the type of person you are, you might not want to figure the mystery out, right? And if you do figure it out, then you're going to be like, it was too obvious. I saw it coming from a mile away, right? But if you like to feel smart, then maybe you'll like that, right? Be like, I figured it out and I was right. I knew it, ha ha ha. But if you don't want to know the mystery, if you don't want to figure it out, then you don't want there to be too many clues. But then if there's not enough clues, well, then you'll be like, well, how was I supposed to see that coming? They didn't, and you wouldn't notice it again until the rewatch. And so this movie was a bit strange in that regard because there are multiple twists or multiple reveals. And there are clues. There's two big ones that I'm thinking of. And there are clues for both of them. And the one set of clues for the more in-story reveal, I saw and I acknowledged, and I'm like, those are going to be important later. I just don't know how. And then when they came back, I was like, oh, okay, so that's how, right? I knew they were important, didn't know how, now I know, right? So I was on to something, I just didn't know exactly how it was going to play out. Then there was kind of like a meta reveal, where it was kind of a reveal in the movie, but it was more so a reveal, I don't want to give too much away, but from a meta perspective of somebody that, understands how movies work and how actors work and things like that. So there was some stuff that I saw that I was surprised by, but I thought I had an explanation for it. And I kind of put it out of my mind, and then it turned out that I was wrong when there was a big, another reveal. This was like the first big reveal of the movie. And so that one, surprised me because I thought I had, not figured out the mystery because I didn't know there was a mystery at that point. I thought I just knew what the movie had done and why it had done it. And I had put it out of my mind. And then turned out that I was wrong. So that was kind of a nice surprise. The other reveal, it's one of those that, after you see it, you're like, oh yeah, duh, obviously. And a lot of people that put more thought into this than I do will probably see it coming. So if you don't like it when you see the big twist coming, you might not be satisfied by the ending of this movie. I didn't put that much thought into it, so I was pleasantly entertained. I don't know that any of the new rooms, trying to think of the old rooms compared to the new rooms. I mean, that upside down bar, I think, is still probably the best room. But there's a bank room in this that's pretty good. They've got another, like, outside room that's really inside. And that one, parts of it are really cool, and parts of it I just don't understand. And speaking of things I don't understand, I am totally on board with just being like, I accept that the people who are doing this have the ability to do this, right? I accept that the organization and the people funding it can do things that in reality I would not expect people to be able to do, right? Secret train tunnels and subway tracks and building huge structures underground and blah, 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 blah. In order for me to enjoy the movie, I just have to accept those things. If you're the type of person that's just like, that doesn't make any sense. How could they do that without getting, right? And like, you know, like at the end of the first movie, how they totally wiped everything clean from the place that they were at. That happens in this movie pretty early on. And, you know, no one believes her, and there's no evidence, and blah, blah, blah. And in this one, it being a tournament of champions, it's all people that have survived the game before. And, you know, how do they get them all back together, right, in the same spot at the same time? And I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, because it's at the beginning of the movie. So if that kind of stuff bothers you, you might not enjoy this movie. I just kind of had to acknowledge that. I'm like, I know this doesn't make sense, but that's the movie that I'm watching, so I'm just going to go with it. And so I kind of just put that aside. I was like, I'm not going to worry about that, because I want to watch the movie, right? It's really just the excuse for me to get into the movie that I want to watch. So I was okay with it. Last thing that I want to point out is the ending of the first movie sets up what you think they're going to do in the sequel. Specifically with the plane sequence at the end of the movie. And it seems like they're going there at the beginning of this movie, and they don't quite go there. How do I want to put this? So for a lot of the movie, I thought that it didn't really continue from that ending tag in the first movie. And again, I kind of just set it aside. I was like, okay, ignore that little bit from the end of the first movie. Everything that, you know, all the main stuff that happened in the first movie is still fine. It's just that little ending bit doesn't quite make any sense anymore. But I'll just say that they address it. They might not address it in the way that I thought. But again, I think on a rewatch of this movie, I would enjoy it even more. Not to say that I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was fine while I was watching it. And I'm interested in going to see it again. So I enjoyed it. But I think knowing everything, I'm going to enjoy it more. And to me, that's what I like in a movie. I like for a movie to have rewatch value, but not be dependent on a rewatch for understanding. Right? So there are some movies that you have to watch multiple times in order to understand everything. I don't think that's a good thing, right? You should be able to understand everything the first time through. But I also don't like movies where after you've seen it once, there's no point in watching it again, because there's like one big thrill or one big reveal that's gone. My light is tweaking out on me now. So this one I think has a good balance of, I understood everything the first time, just not in real time. But, you know, going back, I could figure things out. And so now I'm interested. Could you not, Mr. Lightbulb? I don't know how much the camera's picking that up. It's just doing some weird stuff. I would be interested in seeing the whole movie again now that I've seen everything that happens. So those are my thoughts on Escape Room Tournament of Champions. Feel free to let me know what you thought. That's what I've got. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.